I remember that scene where my psychologist said, but a child, she only has one father. Father can have a lot of children. And we were together and I was little with him. He was father. And I remember myself, I said, me the child said, well, I have two. I wasn't thinking about this, but in their cultist setting, I was raising my hand, the signal two. And I didn't remember that. And that's just the signal that I did when I wrote Sugar-Free Lemonade. And that's the signal that's associated to me with whistleblowers. But people also associate that with the V, or victorious. Well, to me, if ever is victorious by truth, of Archangel Michael. But people will always try to use a symbol and in an inverted way. And I think that kind of creeped him out, because he was already trying to get me into trauma, deeper and deeper trauma cycles, so that he would be handler, and for every cycle I had a deeper truth to present. Again, I must say, he was himself programmed. I didn't understand these things, but I was literally seeing satanic ritual abuse, MK Ultra. He was seeing these things, I was seeing these things. And he would have these funny dreams where he would infiltrate my dream, and there would be these funny things with time and always the number 3, and I had no idea what it means. They use the power of 3 to program for the consciousness. It's good, you can use it too for repetition, okay, when you do a debate or when you do public presentation, okay, the repetition of 3. Yes, but they use it for inverted way. And you know what M, Mason, master, is upright, is M, right? But if you invert, the inversion is W, which is 6, is actually harmony and associated with the sphere of God. I think both of them are essentially working together, or which they would call in completion perhaps, but it's important. Yes, we can reclaim the egregore. Essentially, you just have to be, human being. But for these people, like my psychologists that were programmed to be programmers, and to be at the junctures of separating children from parents, and if the children try to run away, so to heal themselves from a child abuse, so he would be the same person. This is structure, okay? He's just the one person in the structure that feels displacement. Maybe if he would get out of the cult, his survival testimonial would be important to hear, as survival testimonials are, but all attempts to find a place when I was in therapy, so that I am safe and so that he has path to get out of this programming, yes, was not working, and collapsing, because people outside this did not know what's energy. This is true, okay? And that's how he threatened my life. He said, other people, but they don't know what is energy. So I said, the whole world, I'm a scientist, the whole world is gonna know what's energy. Little did I know that they were actually planning for an MK Ultra thing for the whole world. I have colleague astrologer right now, Victor, that also talked about a near-death experience. They said a lot of people will have near-death experience, and I was like, what? What did he just say? And I know that they are planning something like that. So if you think that I'm the crazy person, then soon the whole world will know what's energy. But I also want to tell you that there are sources that you can use to begin to make sense of the things and find solutions. Because when you talk to a person, okay, like psychologist or like person in the cult or business person or politician that is just life threatened, okay, they have been in these cults and they were in situations where they had to perform certain sacrifice, human sacrifice, and they were raped, murdered, and they forgot maybe, and they remember maybe, because they program people to forget and to remember with electric shocks and trauma and stuff like that. To me, the memento mori was done in two ways. One, when I was channeling, that would be later, and talking about the death, and so because I dealt with medicine and I looked at Louise Hay that died from heart attack in her sleep, and thinking, okay, for what that I want, and then what the things that would lead me to get to such death, okay, what the pathways. So to live a good life, and this is the death. You live this life, this is the death. And one way, in abusive way, violent way, where I was shown rape and murder, and for somebody asking me, what death do I want? And the Hebrew word for death is mavet, but they said meita, which means to kill, and mita is bed, okay? And so that was attempt to get me out of my sensuality, because une petite mort in French is orgasm, and they wanted me to be afraid to have orgasm outside of the cult, outside their programming, okay, which essentially only made me expose deeper the cult to regain my freedom of movement. And then yes, the more they tried, the more knowledge I got, the more resources I got, the more understanding I got, and the more people perhaps are no longer with us, because by them, if they send assassins and it's not successful and they're exposed, which of course happens, yes, they're in problem. This is why it's so important for us to know this energy, to remove the isolation around this, because otherwise, yes, the problem becomes bigger, and so instead of connected with society and not being life threat to people who try to assassinate me, then I could open the door for these people to come out of the cult, from outside the cult. And when society is like, oh, but this is imagination, or this is this, or this is, I don't know what's that, what is this conspiracy theory? This is not good for people in the cult, because this perpetuated their suffering, and then what happens? They have to make more troubles, and then people would sign with blood, when otherwise they might not sign with blood, because they think, if I leave, if I kill myself, then I come back, and then what did I do? Okay, but if I make such big change where either people will get awakened or they die, then at least I did my best before leaving the planet, so that things will change. And this is how we get what is occurring right now, because so many people, okay, did not, and we all have levels of not being aware of things to do with that, because I could not leave the cult or abuse and heal, because I would need to talk about this, be understood. And there were years that was not even words, and I would not be able to speak. And then I understood I was not able to speak because I did not have even a philosophy or a paradigm where this would compile or make sense, cosmology. And so I studied cosmology, of course. And then, for a reason that people would be stuck on whether I speak reality or not reality, that we would not get to continue from here or do anything, because just to get them to accept the reality would be problematic and then would further oppress me. And so essentially, many become convinced that yes, is the right thing to do, that such big things will happen on Earth, so all people at least will know what energy is. So we get the basis of cosmology, that you understand that there is spirit and there is matter, and they have interesting relations. They're not completely separate, and they affect one another. And from that unit of analysis, we can go on to establish a respect in spirit and in matter. And so where the hidden realm is used to create problems, of course it affected the material realms, and then people blame you for your choices, not knowing that they are very informed, but with considerations that you cannot give other people, and the vice versa. Okay, when material realm is hidden, yes, from the people, then people think, my parents, many people think it's that their parents did live with, very little money, and they didn't buy that much. Not talking about my family here. They didn't buy, my family bought a lot. We were working class. So my mama replaced the furniture, and my grandmama replaced the furniture, and my parents were traveling, and I got the value of traveling from my parents, which I completed in studying when traveling was not available for me as much as for them. But there were other things, like academic education and completion of degree that were available for me more so, because I could study rather than move around, but it was still difficult to not move around. I was swimming a lot. That's how I chose my university, that I have a free swimming pool. So that was that. But for other people, they believed that their parents did work all these years and then saved money and then this and then that, and they don't have a clue for where the money coming from, and what wealth was hidden from them. For example, you had in Hebrew we call it pensiet activity. It's a different way of computing your life insurance that came from the organization, or basically the cult. They call it the state, but it's the cult, and this would compound, so they were not worried about the future. That is consideration that affects for the material choices, because you believe that in so and so age I will travel, I will this, and indeed they will have discounts for this traveling. So they were correct in the view. Yes, but they were also supporting the cult at a level that was possible, and did not understood for younger generation. Yes, and other things that would make a division also between the generations. This is another form of how some of these divisions are naturally occurring of misunderstandings that we have as humanity, and some of them are by design. A lot around what we see now in the world, in Pluto and Aquarius and Pluto and Capricorn, is the by design type of divisions, like a programming of people creating this isolation, okay, these bubbles, where people do not go out of these bubbles, and maintaining the belief that this is somehow for somebody's benefit or highest good. And so it's not possible, it's not impossible that a lot of the people that we say, yes, we know they were also abused, that they don't remember. And it's important, just like the Me Too, where our parents, our mothers, our sisters, but also our men, began to reconsider the entire world construction, because something that they were used to became suddenly different, or something that they always felt was right, but nobody tended to, something suddenly was tended to. Now it's the same. And we have to consider also that the many people that are in there and they don't remember a lot of the programming, and their parents and the children, and those things I remind you, okay, for the themes of relational patterns that are the thing with inversions is to invert everything, okay, where it's beauty, where is sexual pleasure, where is anything, and to try to invert it. That's the Satanism, basically, for to try to control and create a trauma in people, and to play with these things, but not in a way that is joyous. And then, unless you want to create, okay, some diversion, okay, tactic from that was clearly done to my psychologist, and he began programmer himself, and could not. This was very likely why he was sexually addicted to me, because it was relation, and relation that was outside of the cult in a way, and so. And perhaps I understand today that both in academia and when I went to therapy that there was probably fear that I am that I have handler and that I am sent to extort. This is why they think about, oh, that she wants money. It's not about the opinion of women. It's because they have extorters that come as children or as a woman child, which I was, and they believe I come to extort them. And I guess that's why they were vengeful or abusive to me when I came to heal. But also it was, from their point of view, was also important. I would not leave the cult, which only made me expose the cult and seek for the paradigms that will help me to explain these to you. Understanding that pretty much all of us want out, I believe, and into life without these weird things that appear when you try to have intimacy or self-pleasure or connection or communication or innovation. Okay, we want to purify the energy around this.